Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for another fucking album review. Recently, me and a friend were in the mall. While walking inside through the Coles, by complete chance, what had to be a Luke Bryan song came scraping its sonic waveform through those urinal cakes of ceiling intercom speakers. Exiting Coles, we strolled through the concourse with the various stores around us. In our opposite direction, some guy's iPhone began to ring part of some country song that I had no way of distinguishing, despite he had let it ring for about 10 seconds, and was slowly reading the caller ID before deciding to answer, when he reached 10 feet behind our tread. While I'm sure it wasn't the same song as the quote-unquote Luke Bryan song from inside the Coles, instrumentally, it sounded identical in makeup. I could make out that it wasn't some older tune which he may have grown up hearing in the 60s or 70s. We ate something at the food court and then went to the FYE look at things. 2 to 4 minutes after we walked inside, a country song began playing. This time, I had no idea who it was. I had never heard country music being played inside that specific FYE in the past, so it turned out to be an odd experience. It certainly didn't match what I was feeling or my thoughts, lyrically, so my engagement was shoddy. 20 minutes later, we decided to walk through the Cabela's for some reason. My friend had thought about buying a gift for somebody in his family and was considering something from in that store. Nearer to the apparel, there was country music playing from speakers, of which were a few steps up from Cole's speakers. What I heard sounded like alternative music that had minor elements of country. My mental spirit was at a flat line. My friend was hardly finding anything to get their family member, and just being surrounded by all that woodsy swampy clothing merchandise and wall decor had pervaded through me a wave of tedium fatigue. My neural processes had stagnated, mostly, until I began to make out another sound, which was that of a woman on the phone in the dressing room. She was one loud-mouthed talking bitch. I could hear her say, "I'm in Cabela's right now. I'm listening to Jason Aldean overhead." And then, dot. "I love him, I want to see him live again, and I want to suck his dick," she said. I knew at that moment that it could have been the second or third time that I had heard the name Jason Aldean spoken of, or perhaps my eyes had stumbled over when reading something online. I wouldn't know the songwriter of any, I repeat, any country song, unless there's somewhere there to tell me who it is, or a disc jockey, but I don't listen to country radio, and there's no one I hang out with who listens to country music. If I could sum up Jason Aldean's fourth studio album My Kinda Party in one sentence, I would say, My Kinda Party is a home goods produced, sponge wicker tumbleweed of boredom and musical repugnance placed best among impulse merchandise for a Walmart or drugstore checkout lane. This album looks familiar to me only because I believe that I saw it out of the corner of my eye the last few times I walked through the media section in Walmart. I go there sometimes, if I need to get certain foods in time and there's nowhere else to shop where I'm at, so don't jump down my throat about it. I take a gander through CDs out of sheer curiosity, and I'm very sure that I've seen at least something identical to this. They are country albums, they are constantly set to look evenly appealing and uninspiring to witness. The sheer lack of details on the cover is quite reflective of the cerebral cortices of the fanbase. And it's just too clean looking. There's just nothing about this image that entices me to listen to it. The font looks like a load of crap. It's all white with light distortion. The gray background just elevates the boredom that's already invoked by the say-nothing pose and posture of him. His clothes look like they were bought at JCPenney, and his hat puts me to sleep as well. Surely, the music has to make up for the uninteresting cover art, right? A lot of that is dependent on whether you like country music. I don't, but I'm sure there are exceptions to this opinion I have, but it's rare that I do see or have the chance to make those discoveries. This album starts to drag very early on in its runtime, and there are actually many moments on this album where I can't distinguish it as proper country music. Two glaring issues warranting my condemnation of this album. The song structures are almost all pop with some gimmicks thrown in here and there, and every song has a commercial fade to close them out, and an all-around soft sound. The first song, Tattoos on This Town, includes mid-tempo post-grunge guitar riffing, much like Nickelback and Creed, to my distaste. I knew, if Nickelback has ever been any sort of central influence in Jason's music background, then that means those two bands, among other generic mainstream rock bands, haven't just been a face for these masses. Fuck, that's worrisome. The song is quite boring, to be honest, and that's possibly the worst part about it. It tries to go for a hard-hitting start, but there's nothing about it that really stands out. The second track is the most notorious song from the album. It's called Dirt Road Anthem and includes what I discovered to be a new trend within the country music, which is country rap, also known as hip-hop. Let's get this straight, I don't like country music. I don't like the vocals, the simplicity of it, and more so than that I can't stand the mentality that it panders to. It doesn't serve me, or its actual listeners any good. Adding rap or hip-hop to the genre is not going to make it any better, it's actually going to make it several times much worse, if not just make it too corny to bear sober. But from what I've gathered, country fans don't prefer to drink, so whatever. What I've not mentioned so far is that combining rap with country is actually a disgrace to all music. Without investigating this movement further, I know that there are far more fleshed out examples of this kind of abomination. And when hearing him rap, he sounds like a clone of Fred Durst from the lackluster Limp Bizkit. It's completely fucking horrible. Anyway, it's just soft all around, cliché lyrically, describing what I would interpret as a boring, unfulfilling life. Driving in a truck in an unestablished dirt road is hardly important enough to be lyrically implemented into a song. Track 3 is called Church Pew or Barstool. In this forgettable tune, Jason carries over the tone used for the first few tracks, however, the electric power of the song is dialed back. I can already say, there doesn't need to be so much feel-good tone attributed to one album. He should know that too much of that can get tedious very quick. But it doesn't end there. He sings in the same tone for songs 4 and 5, devoid of any guitar riffs above tepid. Musically, it falls in a pedestrian and tame overdrive. The oohs and ahs of the Nickelback era production do not show to have phased out from his audience. As a result, the music affects is forgettable,